Good afternoon everybody, and a very warm welcome to Ringwood South. And today I have a video for you, and it is to do with fitting sound to my Class 67. Also, I'm going to be answering a couple of questions that I've long overdue. Unfortunately, due to work commitments, I've been a bit lagging behind with answering a few questions, and my apologies to everybody for that. But the main crux of this video is to do with the Arriva Trains Wales 67. The R number for this is R3268. This 67 I should say, I bought this for Behringer some time back, and this loco here is officially the first loco that I have sound fitted myself, so that's kind of like woohoo for me, because to be honest with you, I didn't think I'd be able to do it, and in truth I nearly gave up, but I persisted, and now she works and sounds absolutely beautiful. The sound I fitted into it was the recently released Hornby digital decoder for the Class 67, and it is R8105. I think it's Rails, I think it is actually, are saying that you can put this into a Class 66, and I think it's pretty much the same sound files that are in Hornby 66s. But personally, I wouldn't fit it myself onto any of my 66s. Although, to be truthful with you, my 66s are Bachmann anyway, so they're 21 pin as opposed to 8 pins, which is what this is. It's an 8-pin decoder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to my computer, and then after we can discuss further. So stay tuned, and we will get on with the video. So here we are at my computer here, and you can see some of the various duties that my Class 67, this is all 67003, which is what my one is, and you can see the various duties that it's done, mainly network rail stuff, which goes very well with my repainted Mark II network rail coaches that I did. But primarily I wanted it for this service here, which is the WAG train, which is primarily what the Arriva Trains Wales 67 was put on. And as you can see by this photograph, is that all of these are all Mark IIs, barring the end one, which is a Mark III, which is what I originally did with my other project. When I converted the Mark IIs to network rail ones, I also converted 3 specifically for the WAG train. So these are the 3 that I converted and did the project on, and I also converted a Mark III buffet car also. Generally speaking, this is very early doors with the 67, because originally, excuse my voice, it was the 57s that used to run with the Mark IIs, and there was a shortage of Mark III coaching stock when the 67s were introduced, and later on the Mark II coaches got replaced with the Mark IIIs and the DVT, but as you can see, it's top and tailed with the Class 67. The Class 67 is also known as a skip, that's its nickname, and 67s tend to be used for generally premier stuff really. Like they've got the Royal Train, they've got 2, and they tend to be used a lot on private charters and things like that. Also, this WAG train here is also a premier service, but like I said, they have been known to do like the network rail stuff and engineering stuff, and they're also used for Royal Mail duties also. Now my Hornby 67, we'll go on to the next page, that's the next page along. So this is the top page. On top left here is the loco without the body, and this is the actual Sound Decoder in its configuration that you get it when you get it out of the box. So you see it comes in 3 pieces. It comes into the 8-pin, which goes into the socket, and then you've got this extra circuit board here, and then it runs out to the speaker here. Now the speaker that comes with it is this speaker here. It's not the round one, it's this one here, the rectangular one. So when I opened up the body, it's very easy. If I show you just down here, there are 4 screws, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's one just there, then there's another one just below there, and then there's 2 underneath the other bogie. And basically, once you undid them, the screws would just drop out, and you could just literally lift the body straight off, and then you're left with the chassis and the main body here, the incised circuitry. So at first I was really unsure what to do, and I was trying to work out ways of where I was going to put this speaker. Now I was speaking to a few modelers, and one of them suggested putting it here where it's been circled, which is why I've added this photograph. Now unfortunately, this part of the 67 does come away with 2 screws, but the actual gap is not long enough. The speaker's too long to fit in there, so you couldn't do it. You couldn't fit it up there. So I was really kind of worried about where I was going to put the speaker. I really wanted to put it on the top, but unfortunately, the clearance, there isn't any clearance between the PCB board and the roof of the body. And then the other thing is, not only did you have to fit the pin which goes there, that's the 8-pin there, that's the blanking chip there, so that goes into there, but you also had to find room for the actual board here and the speaker. And the only way that I could do that was to fit it underneath in the fuel tank. Now what you do is you unscrew that screw there, and I think there's a lug on this side, and it drops out, and basically that speaker there tucks away neatly in here completely, with the box entailed as well, so you don't have to actually take it out from the actual casing itself. I mean, here it's shown without the black casing around it, but you can actually fit it in with the casing in here, which is the bottom of the fuel tank. The problem I had then is, how do you wire it and get it from the top to the bottom? And that was my thing, because I've never done this before, and I was a bit worried. But the only way that you could do it was to basically splice this cable here, wire into the speaker. What it did, you just basically split it in 2, and make sure that you leave enough wire to basically feed it down through the chassis, which comes down here, and drop it into the fuel tank, and then basically resolder it to the speaker, which then comes along here. Now you notice that there's a switch here which says night and day. That's what the N and D stands for, night and day running lights. Now when you remove the fuel tank, you'll notice the wiring for the switch, and basically you follow the same lead, the same path for the speaker wire as the switch. So you feed it down in the same way, and then basically you then send it to the speaker box, which is mounted in the fuel tank. Because the wiring for the switch comes through the top of the chassis there, so that runs right down to the bottom, and when it comes down to the bottom, it comes to the switch, which is here. So basically you follow that same path to the speaker, except you just send it to the speaker, which is sitting in here. And then hopefully it should all work. So hopefully I've explained that clearly enough for everybody to understand. So anybody wishing to fit a Class 67 speaker, that's where you put it. I did try and put it in the corner here, where the grill is, but that didn't work. There was also another type of slot here at the other end, but that didn't really work either because it was the same. So really the only place to put it was here, because there just wasn't enough room between the PCB board and the top of the body shell. So now with that explained, let's go to the loco itself. So here we go. Just a quick word of warning, it is pretty loud, but I love it. And it comes with 25, well actually the 25th one is actually auxiliary, but it has 24 sound functions, and considering that this is a budget decoder and it's a TTS decoder, that's just pretty awesome considering. So let's start with the lights. So there she goes, and the next thing we'll do is we'll switch her on. So that's number one, which is start stop. And then you have the high-low horn, which is F2. And then F3 is the low-high horn. And F4 is the brake squeal. Kind of sounds a bit like Santa, to be honest. And the sled kind of letting you know he's on his way. F5 is to notch up. F6 is to notch down. Which is what that is. And F7 is to return to idle. F8 says it's to fresh, so I don't know whether or not the loco has to be moving for that. There is instructions. That's F8 quickly. That's the fresh. F9 is the cold start override. So basically when you start it, you can override it and press the F9, because we'll give it the cold start. So we'll try and see if we can demonstrate that at the end. F10 is one for Alan over at Dragon Junction. You're right, Alan, I do love it. It's called the Horn Special and it is really funny. Oh, just give me a giggle. F11 is the door slam. F12 is the fan. F13 I should say, is the horn long high. And F14 is the horn long low. F15 is the primer. And I think that goes before you start the sound up, I think. F16 is the flange squeal slow. Okay. F17 is the spire itself. F18 is the horn short low. Okay, that was short. And F19 is the horn short high. F20 is the wagons buffering. 21 is wagons clanging. Okay. F22 is coupling. F3 is the guard's whistle. 23, I should say, is the guard's whistle. And then F24 is the locomotive buffering. So, what we'll do is we will go back to and then we'll go. Oh, well, let's see if we demonstrate how I'm moving a little bit. Right. I don't know if this is going to work. Try to drive with one hand. Try to drive with one hand and operate the camera with the other hand. So there she is. What we're going to try and do now is see if we can demonstrate the cold start. So what I'll do is we will shut her down. Right. Now I think I did read it here somewhere. I should have probably done this before I actually decided to do this. But let's just see how we do it. So give me a second and I'll be right back. So we're back. I had a quick little read of the leaflet. It suggests that if you press F9 and then F1 it will give it a cold start, but to be honest with you, I don't know about you, but I can't really tell much of a difference, but we'll give it a go and see what you think. F9, F1. It doesn't seem to really make much difference to me, to be honest. But maybe it's just me not really being used to the sound decoder. But I'm really pleased because it actually works, and I fitted it. So this is 67003 is the first official sound loco that I've installed. I'm just going to move it into the depot, and then afterwards I will move on to the housekeeping part of things. I'm just going to move her into the depot. Right, so now I'm going to shut it down. Right, so that's the leaflet taken care of. One of the questions was from Kiwi at British Rail. It's a very good channel. He's in the process of building his layout, and he was asking me about my track. And he says he says I'm not quite sure why. I noticed that you don't use cork on my layout, which I don't, but many people do. So what is the point of using cork, or what the difference is, and basically why would you use it or why wouldn't you use it? And in answer to that, it's basically personal choice. The main reason why people use cork, there are two reasons really. The two main reasons is that people use cork is it's supposedly supposed to make a difference to the sound, and makes it quieter to run on top of cork, as opposed to laying it directly on the baseboard as I have done here. But I think the main reason why a lot of people use cork is mainly because they like the shoulder of the ballast. And what I mean by that is, if you put the cork underneath and it's slightly wider than the track itself, when you lay the ballast, it kind of drops down and over the cork, and it gives a nice shoulder effect, which is probably one of the main reasons why I think a lot of people use cork. But again, this is all down to personal choice. To me personally, I don't really mind. I'm quite happy the way it is. It worked for me before. It's worked for me. It will work for me again. It's not a big deal for me. And also, I suppose you can sort of say it's kind of like a cost-cutting measure, I suppose. But like I said, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference to me. It might have done before when I was doing Behringer, because it was a DC layout and there was no sound. But when you've got sound locos, I guess you know, it's not really going to make it's going to not make any difference at all, to be honest. So that's the reasons why some people may or may not use cork. But like I said, and also it does kind of even out the boards. If you've got uneven boards, that can help with that as well. There was also another question, and I can't remember for the life of me who asked, and my apologies, whoever you are, if you're watching this channel and watching this video. It was asking me about ideas for a short layout. I consider this layout not particularly big. It's 13 feet by 2. I'd sort of say it's between the smaller and the mid-range sort of spectrum. But I know that there's some people, for example, if you see this line here and go down there, that is the width of one wallpaper pasting table, which is 2 meters. So between this line here, where my finger is, and all the way down there, down the end there, is 2 meters. So that's quite small. Many people tend to go for TMDs and things like that because it's single loco operation and it makes the layout look longer than what it is. So that's why a lot of people do that. But if you wanted to do, say, actually have like some sort of passenger movement or whatever, you can use stuff like bubble cars and things like that, or pannier tanks, and it all depends on which era and what you want out of it. Another tip that you can do is, if you say, for example, as we look at it, this is your scenic break here, and then the locos sort of go off behind. You could actually make it out, put a building here like that, and actually make it out like the scenic break is actually further, so like the depot is actually bigger than what it is. If you see what I mean, and you can make the depot look bigger, so you can actually incorporate the fiddle yard as part of the layout. So if you sort of say you put your scenic break there, but you could say you've got a hole behind it, like a tunnel portal or something like that, you could still use the fiddle yard as kind of like an extension to this kind of depot. So instead of fitting just maybe one car unit, you can fit two, because it can just encroach into the fill yard at the back. So it's another way of utilising the fill yard and getting that extra bit of space. So that's another way you can do it. But again, a lot of it is to do with the era that you're modelling, and a lot of it is to do with what you want out of it. I mean, obviously, there are some fantastic mini layouts out there on YouTube and on the exhibition circuit. But at the end of the day, it depends what suits you and what needs you need. Because I find that some of the small stuff can be a bit too small, and I find that it wouldn't really occupy my mind enough for an exhibition. Like sometimes you get layouts, say for example, which is only literally just, say, like this, where you just got 1 point and 2 tracks, and that might be the whole layout in itself. And to me, that doesn't really hold my interest. Another thing for small layouts, which is fantastic, is called the Inglenook puzzle. I think it's the Inglenook, either Inglenook or Inglebrook puzzle, and it's a shunting puzzle. And there are lots of types of them on YouTube, and basically it's a way of keeping you occupied on a small layout, as in a small shunting layout. And basically you can use, say, a shunter like an 08 or something, and 5 wagons, and then a set of cards, and then you have to basically put the wagons according to the cards that you've been given. And that is a fantastic way to keep you occupied, and you can just keep turning the cards around and keep changing the equation, and then that will keep your mind occupied, because you have to put the wagons into those sorts of, into that puzzle, into that train, to make up that train. So that's another way of doing that. So yeah, I think that's about it. I hope this helps, and I hope you've enjoyed it all. And I'm going to be putting up a video. Excuse me. I just got my Railmaster through, my Hornby Railmaster, and I'm going to do a short series of videos on the Hornby Elite, and in conjunction with the Railmaster. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to deliberately keep them short to make them easy to follow. And then that way people can just watch the videos that suit them. For example, I'm going to probably do one on installation, because I found a few bits and pieces on the installation of the Hornby Railmaster software that I felt needed to be addressed, which is why I'm going to put up that video. But obviously if you've got that already installed onto your system, or you don't actually use the Hornby Elite or the Railmaster, then obviously you can disregard the video. So we're just going to leave it like that for now. So take care, and I will speak to you all when I've got more of a layout update for you. So bye for now.